Nail Down. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11, breaking down pitching for tonight's 14 to 15 game slate. This is a good slate here for pitching. I mean, not bad options. We got Max Scherzer, got some big names like DeGrom and Archer as well. We'll jump in and look at Scherzer, who ranks as the top option tonight. Padres 27th in WOBA against right-handed pitching, 24% strikeout rate, lowest run total on the slate. Scherzer a big 234 favorite at home. Scherzer's had his usual stuff this year. I mean, fourth in the league in strikeout rate, as well as swinging strike percentage. Scherzer's had a couple of below outings over his last two starts. Price tag isn't that bad. This is a good bounce back spot for him. He beats out Chris Archer and DeGrom. Scherzer's just in a much better spot for a high strikeout upside game and a win as well. So, I'll be going this way. Cash games, it just makes sense to fit him in. His price isn't that bad. The value's there. You'll be able to find it on a 15-game slate. So Scherzer well in play for the top option on tonight's slate. But, you can make moves elsewhere. We saw it work out well the last time Jacob DeGrom and Chris Sale pitched, where Chris Sale didn't do that well. DeGrom had a phenomenal outing. It's not a bad spot here. For DeGrom, the only kind of thing that stands out is, Pittsburgh's offense doesn't strike out a ton against right-handed pitching, but they are bottom 5 in WOBA and ISO. DeGrom might be able to take care of that, given the fact that he does have a 32% strikeout rate on the season and is missing over 15% of bats with a 15% swinging strike rate. So that's a plus for him. He's not walking a ton of guys. Give up some decent hard contact, but nothing to really worry about. The only thing with DeGrom is the fact that the price is just still not far enough away from Scherzer to really make me and probably others consider. So you're probably going to get really low ownership on DeGrom, but $800 difference between Scherzer and DeGrom on FanDuel, not enough for me to really justify just switching in cash games. Just $600 on DraftKings. So it's not a pivot to make in cash. It's a pivot you can make in GPPs, but it's still not that I'm a huge fan of it, just because Scherzer's upside is just so high that I don't care about the ownership. I can make differences elsewhere. So Chris Archer, kind of the next ace on the slate. He does have a little bit of a difference between Scherzer. It's a little bit over 1,000 on both sides. So that's one thing to note. But you look at Archer and what he's done this season, been fairly solid. 3 out of his last 4 outings have had double-digit strikeout performances. Archer with his usual stuff this year, 7th in strikeout rate, 28.6%, swing strike rate, 12.7%. Walk rate can be an issue at times. Hard contact is higher than I really like it to be right now. So given the fact that he's also a little bit worse away from home, I mean, Archer is kind of a high-risk, high-reward play. If he can, he's definitely more of an opportunity for me to kind of get those strikeouts to match Scherzer than DeGrom is, just given the fact that the Twins do strike out a little bit more than Pittsburgh. But they also do have a lot more potential to go off and beat up on Archer. So I don't mind Archer, decent pivot. Minnesota, not a bad offense, top 10 in ISO and WOBA against right-handed pitching. 21.4% strikeout rate, so they've lowered that. It's a little bit average this year. Archer's a guy I don't mind the GPPs, but I still think Scherzer's a guy I might just find the extra cash for if I need it. So moving down the list, starting to get into some SP2s and some cheaper guys to pair big stacks with and big bats with. We'll start with Alex Wood. Has been really solid this year. I'm not sure what's up with Wood, but maybe benefiting from hanging out with Clayton Kershaw's help. But this year he's looked really solid. Over Wood's last 3 starts, he's allowed 0 earned runs and 25 strikeouts. He's recorded a win in his last 4 outings, a home favorite tonight, even against Jake Arrieta. Cubs are good against left-handed pitching. I mean, 3rd in WOBA, 203 ISO. Those are not bad. Their numbers do drop off away from home a little bit. They've had some friendly win games, but you look at Wood, I mean, BABIP and left on base percentage are at normal rates. FIP and xFIP sit below 250. He's rolling a ton of ground balls, 67.6%, 29% strikeout rate. Wood's been solid. Swinging strike rate up about 2.5% over his career norm. So that's actually just a shade under Clayton Kershaw for what Wood's doing this year. He's borderline cash game playable on 2-pitcher sites. A good GPP guy, because I just don't expect a lot of people to be going that route on this slate. But there is some potential. I mean, this Cubs offense, they really have just kind of been on and off this year. They do have a lot of right-handed bats, but they cut the strikeout rate down a little bit this year, but it's still sitting at league average. But if Wood continues to miss bats like this, I don't mind him. Another lefty that I do like, Eduardo Rodriguez. I look at Seattle, and it's just really Nelson Cruz is the only guy that I'm going to be worrying about in this lineup. Outside of that, Rodriguez is in a good spot. Seattle 28th in WOBA against left-handed pitching. They're the second lowest hard contact rate, 24.5%. It's extremely low. They don't strike out a ton, but you go back to a larger sample size, their strikeout rate against left-handed pitching is pretty average. Rodriguez, home favorite, might be overlooked a little bit on this slate, but 2-pitcher sites, I expect the ownership to be there as the SP2. He just continues to turn out, solid starts. 6 innings in each of his last 6 starts. Last start where he allowed over 3 earned runs was, his first start of the year against Detroit. Outside of that, I mean, he ranks 7th in swinging strike rate, 10th in K percentage. The walk rate can be a little bit of an issue as well, but he's been able to work out of it. So Rodriguez should be backed with run support. I like him quite a bit here. He's in a really good spot. So Rodriguez is definitely cash game and GPP playable for me tonight. Moving elsewhere, start to talk about some of these guys. Masahiro Tanaka, people are going to have some interest. I'm not. I just don't think that this guy's actually healthy. The swinging strike rate's been there this year, 12.7%, but he hasn't get a lot of outs with it. 17% strikeout rate, giving up a lot of home runs, 2.44 home runs per 9. Hard contact is fairly average, 33%. There's not a lot going on. So I think Tanaka's either banged up or something's up. And I think this A's offense is just good enough to kind of keep me off of him tonight, where I'll wait another start or two, see if he can pull things around. Outside that, I mean, Zach Godley, I have some interest in GPPs. The Padres start was a little bit disappointing. I think he had 1 strikeout over that start. But other than that, I mean, he's been solid. Rolling a lot of ground balls, 65%, which is a big plus against a Milwaukee team. Strikeout rate, 20%, is missing a decent amount of bats, 13.8%. You look at this Milwaukee team, I mean, good against right-handed pitching, but that 24% strikeout rate always draws you in for GPPs. So Golly's not a bad GPP guy to target tonight and load up on an offense or two. Because the upside is there. It is risky, obviously, just still going up against those bats. But Ryan Braun to the DL, that's a big bet out of the lineup. Thames has cooled off a little bit. VR still adequate at best. So I kind of don't mind going there. As far as other guys, though, Aaron Nola, maybe on a different slate, I'd look to use him. I like him quite a bit, but I probably won't be using him. I wish he was maybe a little bit cheaper. Not a bad guy. Coors pitcher's not in play, obviously, despite their names. Jake Arrieta is a guy I'm not going to be using against this Dodgers offense. Not missing enough bats. Still a little bit priced up for me to use. I think Arrieta is going to figure out as the season goes on, but I'll kind of wait and see. So that's pretty much it for me. Those are my core guys. You can check out my article on dailyfantasycafe.com. You can also check out the rest of our tools and content. So let's wrap things up here, and good luck tonight.